Looking at what's going on in the metals markets today, gold, silver, platinum, palladium, and crude oil, everything is down. But that is due to the euro taking another hit today. Um, this is another new low. It's down to 127 to the dollar. So what's going on is anytime the euro takes a hit, everybody's running to the safety of the dollar. Not making the right decision, but I'm going to point out a couple things. Well, first I'm going to review about the euro a little bit, the basics. I don't think long term it will hold together. It may not. I don't think so. But in the short term, talking about in 2012, you can start seeing it go up again before it comes crashing down again and makes a new low. They will find a solution, and they got some things coming up. I just want to review exactly what the euro is. The European Union is comprised of 27 countries, which were put together to make the EU with a population of 500 million people, the largest economy in the world. 17 of the 27 countries in the EU are members of the Eurozone, which use the euro, and the UK, of course, does not. The Eurozone has been in general circulation for 10 years, and it's the second largest economy in the world with a population of 330 million. But the European Union is 27 countries, 500 million, 500 million people. There are two main fundamental differences between the situation in America in 2008, both political and economic. And I think maybe people do know this, but maybe they don't. There is a couple, well, some of the things are very obvious, and this is why they talk about the European Union is going to fall apart. But I'm going to get onto a couple things. I just want to review this real quick. Europe is not the United States of Europe. It's the disunited states of Europe. It is not one nation. The monuments on euro notes are fictional, so no country's national pride will be offended. In Europe, 17 leaders and sometimes 27 all have to come to an agreement, to a decision, and go home and sell that to 17, sometimes 27 democracies. Economically, America is a key weapon at its disposal, and not only is it the world's reserve currency, but the Fed can print as much money as needed to finance its borrowing. The countries in the European zone do not have this power. And it says, why doesn't the European Central Bank just print more money? Theoretically it could, but the Germans are very opposed to letting this happen. There's multiple reasons for this. Obviously historical, what happened to Germany and Weimar, hyperinflation contributed to the rise of Hitler, to the belief that countries should not be bailed out. So they do not believe that countries should be bailed out for living beyond their means. So the history of Germany is stopping the European Central Bank from just greatly increasing the money supply. But Germany does have an interest in keeping the euro afloat. That's why I don't think it's going to go down right away. The irony is, if you take the Eurozone as one entity, it does not lack for resources. It is a very strong economic engine. And this is what they're talking about, and I find this little line interesting because this is probably the whole game. There's too much democracy in Europe for the Eurozone to survive in its present form. And that's the game, I think, that's going on at the very top. Creating crises to take away individual rights and also add debt onto people. So, they'll take lower wages, or they'll practice more austerity on the nation. At the same time, the debt load is extremely high. Obviously, that's a loan shark game. It's pretty obvious what's going on with that. It's all fictitious debt. That's why people need to get out of the whole game completely and just go physical metals. Even though you're seeing them going down today, I'm going to talk about why they're going to go up for another reason. Europe is the world's worst performing. Euro is the worst performing currency in 2011. And I wouldn't want to make this prediction for 2012 specifically on the euro, but a lot of times when something is performing bad one year, that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to happen in the current year. Probably a person might be smart. I wouldn't do this myself, but a person might be smart to buy euros right now because they're probably going to go up some this year. Not that they're going to go up long term, but once you get a gain, get rid of them. I mean, you might see the euro go back up to 130 or 35 or whatever like that. No problem. Not saying something unreasonable, but they're going to come out with a solution, at least in the short term, and it's going to change. So, that's an obvious reason. Sometimes, people having a lot of, well, it looks like the sentiment is so bad on the euro, and the euro's not going to fall apart that easy. It's probably a smart buy for the short term right now. Not that I am doing that personally, but I can almost see that thing's going to go back up again in the short term again. He recently posed a question to one of the people charged with running the UK's financial system. His source gave the euro about a 20% chance of failure. In other words, the odds are that it's going to survive. However, he is swift to point out that Germany was determined that the euro survive. And also Germany's economy is incredibly strong. So I think, we're looking at the headlines, and the euro is not necessarily going to fall apart that fast, despite all the drama that's going on right now. So if there's a 20% chance that the euro collapses, how would it impact America? Soros, and I trust what this guy says a lot of times because he actually is a little more honest than you think. I know he's supposed to be the evil guy, but he's a little more honest than you think, and he reveals some stuff. Soros called the consequences of the euro's failure to the global financial system catastrophic. America will inevitably be hurt. And this is what the game they're looking for. They're looking to just restructure everything somehow. One world currency and one world financial system. We do all know this. And part of that is going to be based upon gold. Meanwhile, some estimates have put American banks and market funds as holding more than $2 trillion in European banks. This is the thing, where I get back to Lindsey Williams. I do have some faith in this guy. Like, I don't think he knows anything at all. But I think his information is fairly accurate, even though one guy probably doesn't know what's going on in the entire world. But it's quite obvious to me. The American banks and European banks are so intricately tied together that if there is a problem in the euro, there's going to be major, major, major problems over here. So I almost think when they're going to start doing some kind of quantitative easing again, they're going to be saying, oh yeah, we're not propping up the European banks. But somehow they will be. They'll be propping up American banks and be buying European debt. There'll be it's like, I don't think you're going to let this euro crash that easy. Although maybe long term it's going to go. The European banks, those European banks that hold a lot of European sovereign debt that can go bad. We were talking about the possibility of banks bankrupting, of runs on banks, and that means American banks could suffer big losses. So if they're having, bankrupt banks in Europe and runs on banks, that's probably going to happen over here too. So maybe, this prediction about Lindsey Williams, if it's on paper, you're screwed, right? That's probably some truth to that. So what happened he's talking about what happened to Lehman Brothers fell, but far worse. MF Global could be the tip of the iceberg, and we've seen that. And add to all this, so everything, your money, pension, your pension fund, your money in equities, could all nosedive. And he's kind of putting out the same thing that Lindsey Williams said, and I don't think this guy's anybody listening to Lindsey Williams, but it's kind of interesting that they're putting out this possibility, basically that fortunes could be lost. So if you're not in the right place is the physical metal. So you're looking at these things down right now. Now me, I'm probably going to keep buying some more of them. That's probably what I'm going to do. You can't underestimate that the disintegration of the euro would also go to confidence. Companies would even be less likely to hire consumers, even more unlikely to spend. So there'd be more high cash hoarding by companies, and banks wouldn't lend. So I don't know if this is going to happen exactly the way he's saying it here, but it's going to actually still contribute to the fear of spending money, investing, starting new ventures, lending out money from banks, and people are going to be hoarding cash, hoarding resources, and that type of thing. Nobody's going to be spending money. So Economically, the European zone collapses, and America, which currently looks like it's out of the recession, will probably be in another one. And politically, that would mean Obama loses in 2012. Now, that's another reason I kind of think the Euros, they're going to pull something out of the hat. Jim Rogers was talking about this, but what he says is kind of like just what my common sense was saying. There is a game that goes on for elections, and they're going to prop things up, and they're going to not let it affect the United States. So they have an interest in propping up the euro. They have an interest in propping up the euro. Another thing, they're going to have another summit on the Eurozone on January 30th, 2012. Now, that's an extra summit. They were not supposed to meet till like the 1st or 2nd of March, but they're going to have an earlier gathering to consider because of what's going on with the sovereign debt crisis. So they're having extra meetings. Now, you don't know what's going to happen out of this stuff. That's where the curveball is going to come into play. You probably might see something unexpected. Oh, we got a resolve going on. It might be a lot of talk, but it'll be a good spiel. And what will happen is the markets will turn around. So, everybody thinking about the end of the world right now with the euro, I think it's probably coming up at some point, but it's not coming up immediately. But for now, it's giving a lot of hit on the metals. And if you got the money, keep buying them. I mean, I don't know how much more I want to get at this stuff, but I'm pretty much into it as it is, but I keep buying. This I found interesting, and you know what? They're not talking about this anymore that much. November 24th, 2011. Now, the only rating agency that downgraded the U.S. debt was Standard & Poor's. But Fitch and Moody's is talking about it. And if these guys don't take in and do the automatic cuts that were supposed to come in 2013, and they don't happen, well, guess what? The U.S. debt's getting downgraded. And it could be a number of things that could downgrade the debt. They're more than this. So this is where you're going to see the metals go way the hell up, especially the gold. But the silver's going to go right up with it, and everything else. And also, I wouldn't be sure how this is going to work, but I almost think that the physical price is going to start detaching from the actual price that's on paper. Once people start getting a little nervous about their brokerage accounts because of MF Global, say you got one more place that goes down like that, well, you know what? That's when the light bulb's going to start coming on with people, and they're going to be buying more and more physical metals. The word still isn't out yet. That's why the prices aren't there yet. But if they do something like this, just down one other place, like Moody's downgrades a little bit or changes something, what the outlook is going to be for the U.S. debt, you're going to see these prices on the metals go up a lot more. And that's just how it goes, But as far as what's going on with the debt itself, I mean, it's still going up. I mean, do you see anything changes in these numbers? Every time you turn around, this thing was like, it was a big news story. Actually, back on September 30th, this was less than 14.8 trillion. Now it's 15.2 trillion, the national debt. Inside of a few months, they added that much to it. They added over $400 billion. So, quite obviously, this game is definitely going to end, even though they've been talking about it. But before it ends, you're going to see more downgrading of debt, and what that's going to do is going to change the prices on the metals drastically. Drastically. People are going to wake up, but if you got the money, keep buying the silver. Keep buying the physical silver. It's a no-brainer. I'm going to be buying more, I think, because they keep hammering it down. That's where I want to be. It's not going to go down where it's going to go down much further than this, so I'm going to keep buying.